Today's episode of The Mom Game is brought to you by our friends at Gateway Buick GMC at LBJ and Jupiter. I know that buying a car can be stressful, but not at Gateway because their slogan is Gateway's Got It. And just what does that mean? Well, it means Gateway's got a wide selection of new Buicks, GMCs, and GM certified used vehicles, all competitively priced. Gateway's got it. In these busy times, you want a car dealer who makes things easy and convenient? Well, Gateway's got it. When you log on to gatewaybuickgmc.com, look for the Shop, Click, Drive button. This allows you to shop from the comfort of your home, and who doesn't want that? In fact, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, select your vehicle. 2, create your offer. 3, schedule your delivery. And on top of all this, Gateway Buick GMC offers complimentary car washes for life. So when you want a dealer who has it all, Gateway's got it. You can find them online at gatewaybuickgmc.com or shop in person at LBJ and Jupiter. GMC, we are professional grade. Experience the new Buick. What is up, Mom Game people? Emily Jones and Julie Dobbs. This was going to be a Mom Game After Dark for episode 41, our Dirk episode, Dirk.
Let's call it Mom Game After Dirk.
But so Mom Game After Dirk, yes, because it's 11 in the morning, which is the only reason we're not drinking a glass of wine or a beverage of our choice. But I am Emily Jones. She is Julie Dobbs. We are coming to you from the comforts of our home. And Julie, you've been in the comforts of your home for quite some time now. I understand you have some news to share with our little mom gamers.
Yeah. I think when we were on the show, I was like complaining about Santa's lap. Maybe not the lap, like 2 episodes ago. Okay. All right. So now I can like eat my words for bitching about dumb things like not being able to let my kids stand on Santa's lap and feeling all the pain of how annoying the world is these days. Well, it hit me, and I am now on the other side of COVID. I had my free release back into the world day yesterday. December 20th on Christmas Day was my last day of isolation. So that was my 10 days post symptoms. But yeah, the week before Christmas, I tested positive on Friday after having very mild symptoms for honestly a couple days. If I could do it all over again, I would have gone to get a test probably the second I started having a stuffy nose. But it just happened to be a really busy week, and I was supposed to host at the Ticket on Thursday and Friday with Jake, which I was so excited about for a long time. So I hosted with him on Thursday with COVID unknowingly. And I thought my head was hurting a little bit, but I was like, oh, you're just probably nervous because you're hosting a show. But I went.
Were you in studio on Thursday?
I was in studio, but we were extremely separated because Jeff Catlin up there is doing a really good job of keeping everybody far apart from each other. The few people that have to be there. So if I was in the old ESPN studios, because ESPN, they're not a thing anymore locally on the radio. The empty studio there, which I had never even been in. And then Jake was on the other side of there was a wall in a totally different studio. And then when we were outside of the studio, we were all in masks. When it wasn't much, I walked in, did the show and kind of walked out. So I felt good that I hadn't seen anybody or really exposed anybody at work. But Friday morning, so one of the kids in Anna's class tested positive on Thursday night. And that is what pushed me over the edge, because I was like, okay, well, I've got a cold, and now one of the kids in Anna's class is testing positive. So I went in Friday before work to do a test. I went to the place where the Stars have a setup where they're doing all their testing, and came back positive. And I was in the middle of planning that day's show with Jake, and had to tell him, and he's had it. So he was really great about it. He was like, don't go on the air. He was like, I know how it feels, and you have no idea how you're going to start feeling in the next few hours. And you could start to feel terrible. I remember when he had it on the air, and he was he was bad. He was slurring his words and stuff.
I remember texting you. I was like, dude, what is going on with and Dan too, with Dan and Jake.
They both had it.
Very unstable. It was, I was like, what's going
I
on?
think it was
You're
like, I think they had like loaded up on medicine to try and
yeah.
her. And so they were like, it was bad. And so he had been through it. So he's like, and I was trying to tell him I could do it. And he's like, no, he's like, I don't know what this thing is that we all have inside of us, not just at the ticket, but kind of everywhere, where you feel like you have to fight through
Yeah.
feeling bad or being sick to go to work. And honestly, that's what I had done for a couple days ahead of that. So anyway, I didn't host the show that Friday. He hosted it by himself like a champ. But we never really said why. But yeah, that's why. So
okay, so Jules, my family's had a couple of brushes with COVID. My son had it in July, or at least tested positive, and then my husband had it a little over a month ago. And so you have all these, it's like it's so weird, isn't it? When you get that, like, the positive test, you're like, shit, what's going to happen now? And especially with you being a cancer survivor and having a bit of a compromised immune system, kind of what were your feelings? We've been very open about how we feel about, everything regarding the virus and how serious it is and all that, but kind of our approach that we're taking to it. But once you got that positive test, was there a legitimate concern because of your health past?
Not really, because when this all started and I was trying to figure out if I could like go into work or if I need to be working from home, if all that, I texted my oncologist, who's amazing, from Baylor Scott and White downtown, and I texted her when this all started and I said, hey, am I high risk because of my history? She said nope. She said, you're like everybody else. It's been 6 years. If I think the people that obviously have chemo are going through chemo now and have cancer, like they definitely are. But my immune system and everything is fine. If anything, it's like been through a lot, so it doesn't get faced by much. And so I texted her again when I got the positive, because it was a long time after that, almost a year. And so I was like, hey, and he says, anything changed? Am I still like, what do I need to worry about? She was like, you don't need to worry about anything. Just like everybody else. She's like, rest and you look out for shortness of breath. That's the main thing. And then call the doctor if that gets to a point, where it's intolerable or whatever. But yes, when you get the positive test, it's like your world stops. I mean, I was expecting it to be negative. I was just going to go do it so I could know for peace of mind. And I was going to go into work. So I had my whole day planned out. I was sitting there with my laptop. We were going to interview Josh Richardson from the Mavs. So I was prepping for that interview. And then the guy came out at the pharmacy and told me it was positive. It's just like, what? It's like, what? Okay, what do I do for the rest? What do I do? Like, got to call people. And I've talked to a few people who have had it. And it's like the hardest part. Okay, I'll say up front, like for me, my symptoms were very mild. Like, thank the Lord. I know that people have it completely different. And it makes no sense to me why everybody's so different. And I think that's one of the biggest things that all the doctors and everybody's still trying to figure out. But my symptoms were really mild: headache, congestion the first few days. The headache was the most annoying thing because it was like constant. And every once in a while it would kind of start to be like a little piercing headache, but I was never like bedridden. I told somebody else, I was like, if this was anything else, I'd fight through it. Because like, that's what moms do. Like, you can't just lay in bed if you have a headache when you've got kids and a job. Like,
right.
So anyway, I was glad to know that it was positive. But yeah, and then the other hardest part is just like texting everybody, and like dealing with like kind of the fallout, if you will, and like having to think of like, who have I seen, and having to send those like terrible texts.
Right. And don't you, and you feel like it's like a scarlet letter, like you have it, like you expose someone to an STD or something. It's
I know.
Like, wait, you're like, it's COVID, it's everywhere. Why are people looking at me like,
I know.
I mean, it was crazy. I remember when Henry had his positive in July, and, I was stuck with the kids. And because Mike was negative, my husband. And so he went and stayed in a hotel or at his mom's in a hotel, whatever. And then, but I wanted to get out. I mean, they talk about how important vitamin D is. And so like, I mean, it was the middle of summer. I was like, we have to get out of this house. So we would go around the neighborhood or whatever. And I remember one of my sister-in-law's friends, like texting her being like, I can't believe they're outside. And I'm like,
I mean, we have to do something. We can't just stick.
You're not like, exactly.
We going
you
to
can
the
stay far
zoo.
away from people.
Right. It's not like it was like, hey, but we was like, yeah, we would go for a family run in the mornings or in the evenings or both or whatever. But people get really wigged out about this thing. And I get it because it's so unknown. But people tend to,
oh yeah. And right before Christmas. So like anybody that I told I was potentially like ruining their Christmas for, and luckily I hadn't seen very many people and I didn't have to send that like text only to a couple of people. But yeah, it's like, and then all of a sudden you're like shielding all these like, and it's funny, like, and anybody that's been through it, like I'm sure you with Henry, like can probably attest to this, but it's like kind of like a feigned like lack of concern than like a, wait, well, when did you test positive? And when did your symptoms, like everyone's like trying to act like they care, but then they're also worried about like,
yes. They're just trying to find out as much information as they can. Yeah. And
it's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing. It's like,
so weird.
Wait, like, because, like, yes, I have had cancer and like, that was different. Cause like I could be around people and like,
right.
I was like surrounded by so much love and like, nobody was scared of me and like, I'd rather have that, but it's just so different, like, because you have to text everybody and then you've just got to go like straight into isolation, which is the worst possible. It's like the worst thing imaginable just to be.
And then because Kelly and the kids were negative.
So Kelly and the kids were negative. Kelly tested negative again today. That's his 5th negative test. So like since last Wednesday when I like had been going through it, and the kids tested negative a couple of times and have had 0 symptoms.
Okay. Quick question. And I know this is my whole COVID theory. Totally uneducated. What is Kelly's blood type? Are you drinking wine?
No, it's cranberry juice, but I thought it might like look like wine.
Oh my gosh, I was about to say, stand by.
Like you have an issue.
Sorry.
White Claw is my day drink. If I was going to be drinking, I'd probably go White Claw.
There you go. Okay. What is Kelly's blood type? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
Isn't it like the O people?
So I have O blood. I have O negative. I have a universal donor. And I see people, my girlfriend, Lisa, who's like my best friend in the entire world. And I talk to her all the time and we talk about all kinds of stuff. And she's like, how on earth have you not gotten COVID? Like, not because I'm like out there partying, but she's like, you've been around so many people that have been exposed and you just aren't getting it. And I was like, maybe I have the magic blood. Maybe it's the O negative. I have another girlfriend who her husband tested positive and they were, sleeping in the same bed, all that kind of stuff. And she didn't get it. And she's got the magic blood too. So I don't know if that's it. That's just my theory.
I don't know what Kelly has.
And here's another thing. Do you know how many people don't know their blood type? My husband does not know his blood type.
I don't. And I've like,
do you not know your blood
type? A million times. I've had IVs put in like plenty of.
How do you not know your blood type?
It's just because I didn't retain the information. Like I've been told it and I know.
Crazy. So I don't give blood. I give blood, not, all the time, but they reach out. So once you're in the bank or whatever, they know if you're the universal donor and they're hitting you up all the time. So like every 2 months they reach out and say, can you come donate blood? And especially during COVID, I've done it more because there's a need for it. And also too, they test for the antibodies. So I'm like, oh, well, this is, bonus. I can help. And then I'll get the antibodies test. And I've never tested positive for the antibodies. But it's so fascinating to me how so many people don't know their blood type. And I was like, okay, I want to know my kid's blood type. And then you realize that's not out there either. It's not on their birth certificate. It's not on their, I don't know.
To get their blood drawn?
It's not on their birth certificate.
Yeah.
So I don't know why that is. And I don't know why I'm so fascinated with this, but I'm so fascinated with how many grown people don't know their blood type.
Yeah. I think because you don't really need to know unless like you, or maybe the O's know because they do have that, they're the universal donor, but other people just don't know. I don't know. I don't know what mine is, but Kelly also tested for the antibodies and tested negative for the antibodies. Yeah. And then, the kids are fine. My mom was here, of course, when I started my having symptoms. My mom was staying with us, helping us get ready for our big Christmas that I was going to host. And and she tested negative as well. So as far as I know, like I did not give it to anybody. So
Yay!
I'm like, maybe I'm the magical blood. Like maybe I'm just not contagious or wasn't contagious. I don't know. It's just a thing. It's so weird. But yeah, we had to cancel Christmas. We weren't having like a giant thing, but my parents were going to come. They've been here like every Christmas morning with the kids, and they were going to like add on to our Santa stash, you know,
right.
all these like other things. I'm like, well, shit. Like, and I hadn't finished my shopping, you know, so I'm like Amazoning for everybody as much as I can. I had Kelly go do a couple like Target pickups, you know, but just like all the things, it was just like a big slap in the face because I am like the head elf. Like I love Christmas and it's my favorite thing I've been looking forward to all year because we host at our house because we have my grandmother's house. So like we have the Christmas house. So all of that just, you know.
But now it's over. And now do you feel like a little bit of like superwoman-y? You're like
a little bit. I was telling you and Adam how bad I wanted those antibodies.
So Merry Christmas. You got the antibodies.
I got the antibodies at least for a while. So we'll see. Yesterday was like my first day where I could like go do something and I did nothing. Like I went into the yard and like we saw a few neighbors and, you know, but yeah, it was one of the hardest parts was just feeling like you've been like shunned, you know?
I know. Isn't that crazy? Especially since so many people have had it. And I think because I shared our, you know, whole experience very publicly when Henry had it, people I'm like a COVID confidant. Like, so people
still somewhat early on.
It was.
Yeah.
And people freaked the F out on us, on our family. I mean, it was really weird the way people acted. And I was like, oh my gosh.
It's an interesting like social experiment.
Yes. And so I'll have people reach out to me that they haven't said anything. I mean, they've said things they've told people that they were, you know, and directly around and exposed, whatever. But like, they're not forthcoming with it as far as, because they don't, they're like, people are crazy and they're judgy. Yeah. You know, like, what did you do? Yeah. Where did you go? What, you know, what were you doing? You know, it's all those questions. I mean, like, I remember when somebody was like, what happened? What did you, I was like, what do you mean what happened? Like, it happened.
Hosted a COVID party at the club.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And just made out with people.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. No,
well, I'm so glad you're through it. I'm so glad you're on the other side of it. I'm so glad that you had mild symptoms. And I know, I'm just so ready for this to be over. And I just feel like we sound like broken records, but I feel like everybody is in the same boat.
Oh yeah.
The fatigue is real with it. And that just because you have fatigue with it doesn't mean you're not taking it seriously.
It's not going anywhere. Yeah.
No, it's just like, God, I wish, and it's so unpredictable. You can't figure it out. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You don't know who's going to end up in the hospital from it and who's going to not even show any symptoms. I mean, it's just absolutely insane.
None of it makes any sense. And I feel like now more than ever, which is like what, you know, they're saying on the news is that it is at its probably peak at this point than it ever has been as far as the number of cases. And I can tell because now all of a sudden, like everyone I know is getting it or has gotten it. A couple of my neighbors had it around the same time as me. So it's like, well, I mean, we weren't like making out. We hung out in the yard one night outside, like, but none of the husbands got it from that group. It was only the wives. But yeah, I just feel like now it's just rampant and it's everywhere. And it's at the point where you're kind of like, if you haven't gotten it, probably assuming you're going to get it at some point, if you do anything, you know, about the people
have we talked about the vaccine yet? Have we talked about it? Are you getting
a little? Yeah. I've said I was going to get it like from the very beginning when you said you weren't so sure about it. Remember? Right. I like I mentioned, you know, just going through everything I went through with chemo and cancer, like drugs have saved my life once, drugs and doctors. And so I trust them, you know, I trust what the doctors are telling us. And at this point, like, that's all we've got.
And I think that's where I am. Like in the beginning, I was kind of like, I'm not so sure. I need a third nipple or, you know, joke, haha, you know, but you don't know. But now that we're
third nipple, I think the first time you said like third arm and I see it's turned.
Now it's smaller. Now it's not an extra limb.
You can just cover it up with a shirt. Yeah.
But But now that we're in this far into it, we're this deep into it, and I see all these healthcare professionals getting it, and I'm like, why would I not get it? And I respect people's right to not get it if they don't want to, or if they don't. That's absolutely, you're right. Absolutely, everybody has that.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, why would I not? And now I'm kind of like jealous. Not, that's the wrong word, but every time I see like one of my friends who's in healthcare or whatever getting the vaccine, I'm like, oh, I want it. I want it too. I want it too.
I know. Has our friend Erin gotten it? I bet she got it.
I need to text her. Surely she has. I mean, she's working like 15-hour shifts in the COVID unit in Scottsdale.
I think about her a lot.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if she tells me to get 8 COVID vaccines, I'll do it. But yeah, I just think I'm just going to, and I don't, who knows what'll happen from it or long-term effects or whatever, but I'm all in on the vaccine and like,
so am I. And it's like just giving everybody a little bit of hope, that hopefully things can get somewhat back to normal.
Okay. Speaking of back to normal, we now have a definitive plan for your world for the next few months. The NHL is going back.
Yeah.
And aren't they, I'm so confused by their whole setup.
It's kind of confusing. So the plan is January 13th, the season's going to start. Kelly starts back to work tomorrow, meeting with the coaching staff to get a plan in place. All the players have had to come back in town from wherever they were. And I think before they can like gather and stuff, if they traveled from, I think that's what it is. If they traveled from like more than 2 hours away, they all have to quarantine before like going back and getting together as a team. And so they're going to start up their practices soon. January 13th, the season's going to start. And I want to say it was like a 53 game schedule that they released. That'll put them into May, like early May for the regular season. And they're playing like every third night. There's quite a few back-to-backs as well. So it's going to it's going to be really busy. They've realigned the divisions. So there's now 4 divisions. I think it's 4.
Yeah. And then you only play within the division, right?
You only play within your division. You don't play anybody else. And all of the Canadian teams are in their own division up in Canada because they can't cross the border, and the American teams can't cross the border up into Canada. So they're all playing each other. And the Stars are in a division with like some different teams. Are going to be in a division with Tampa Bay, who just won the Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. We played in the Stanley Cup finals. Carolina, I think Nashville's still in there. So it'll be interesting. They'll only play those teams, and they're not going to have to go to hub cities. They're going to be able to travel to the arenas for the teams, at least to start.
So what are the protocols like for Kelly? Like as far as, I mean, obviously not in a bubble, but what are,
well, so like they were before the bubble and at the bubble, they're testing like every 2 days right now. Everybody. And then once they start traveling, they're like stuck in their hotel room, basically. They're not going to be.
So it's kind of like what MLB did.
It is. Yeah.
Last season.
Like what MLB did. Yeah. Just with, realignment and like changing the structure of their season and then their playoffs. So you wouldn't play anybody outside of your division until I think like the Stanley Cup,
That's
like
crazy.
everything else is just like the top teams from the division. So I'm glad they're getting going. It's going to be really weird, and I'm like now going to go back into like, I'm in shock. Like, okay, he's going to be gone again.
Yeah.
So at least I have the antibodies, so I won't get
exactly
COVID.
So NFL's going to make it through. NBA has started back up. NHL's starting back up. Baseball is a little bit of a question mark because they're, it appears that the owners want to get as many games with fans present as possible. And so there is talk of, rumblings that they may push the season out to where it doesn't start until May or something, that we could have a delayed start. The players obviously want as many games as possible because they want game checks, because that's how they get paid. If they don't play, they don't get paid. And then you've got
they're not that with the fans being there.
Do what, honey?
I said they're not as worried about the fans being there. They just want to get the games done.
Exactly. And the owners are like, well, if we're having to pay you all this big money and then we're not able to offset it with some sort of revenue, we would rather just wait until we can have as many fans in the stands as possible. And so now we're going into another contentious, players versus owners back and forth that was so ugly last season that you just hope it gets remedied. But I mean, you're talking about, pitchers and catchers reporting in like 6-ish weeks normally. And so what is that going to look like? And, and I've been told by my boss, usually my kids go with me to spring training and it's our spring break thing. And, they won't be able to come this year. And if I do go, they want me to go for at least a period of time, and that I'll probably have to do the whole, not bubble thing, but kind of a bubble where I test and all that kind of stuff before I can. But I've got to get in there. I don't know half these guys because I haven't been around them. And so that's
right. And that's like so much of your job.
It's so much of my job. And so, we'll figure out what that's going to look like. But, I was like, that's fine. I've already broken the news to my kids and I'm prepared to do the whole, isolation thing or whatever and test until I can, get in there and then hopefully, at least have some time to get to know these players because they're so new to all of us. And so anyway, we'll see. It's all just so up in the air. And that's the thing that I think kills me more than anything is when there's not a plan, like there's not and that's been the hardest thing. And I think it's in some ways, it sounds weird. It's been good for me because I'm such a control freak that sometimes you just have to let it go and realize that you're not in control and just kind of roll with the punches, which is not one of my best assets.
Yeah. Well, at least you have at least 6 weeks. And then at that point, no more. But yeah, anytime that the players and the owners are going to start that back and forth, it's like, oh God, that's
I know. And it's not good for our game. It's not good for, it's not a good look. It was bad enough last time, we were just starting in this pandemic and now we're still in it. And it's like, let's not do this in front of everyone. Like, let's do our dirty work, dirty business behind closed doors. Let's not air it out. So hopefully they have learned a lesson from last time and hopefully it won't be so terribly ugly.
Yeah. Rangers just signed a new pitcher. Do you know anything about him?
Yeah, I don't. I know he played for the Nippon Ham Fighters.
Okay.
They signed him to a 2-year deal. And, they've had some luck with some players from Japan. They brought Colby Lewis back from Japan. And he obviously was I
forgot about that.
Yeah. He turned out to be such a stud. I don't know a ton about him. He seems like a super thoughtful, just from what I've seen on social media, a super thoughtful individual that's truly grateful for this opportunity to play big league baseball. And so I'm excited to get to know him. But yeah.
Is he a major league level guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's good. Starting rotation guy?
Yeah, and we need them because no more Mike Minor, no more Lance Lynn.
Yeah.
No, it's just this team is so very young and
a little disheveled.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, but we just keep forging ahead, and we're going to Virginia. I don't know if you have any plans the rest of the way since you're footloose and fancy free out of that COVID quarantine.
No, I know. Kelly's about to start work tomorrow, so we can't go anywhere now. So I'm like, no, I do have the rest of, or all of next week off. So I, wish I could go somewhere, but I don't really want to leave him.
So did you guys celebrate Christmas Day, or did you wait till yesterday? Or the day after Christmas?
We celebrated. So Christmas Eve, we had a 4-hour Zoom call with all of my family, and we opened some presents, a lot of presents on the Zoom call. We just let the kids open a lot of their presents Christmas Eve because we were so bored, and we were like, well, the sooner the better for them to start playing with their toys. So they opened a bunch Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day, it's just so weird. It's every day, it's usually just such a to do and such a production, but in isolation, it's this is just another Friday or
wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, or it's just so weird. We had some, fun as you can Zoom calls. We had played some games and stuff on the Zoom and got to see our family. But yeah, the kids are just ecstatic. That's the thing. My kids are so little. I'm the one more of this sucks. This isn't what it's supposed to be. But they're this is amazing. We have presents and we're home. And mommy they're both here. That's all they really care about. And Santa still came. He was not worried about getting the COVID, thankfully.
He's got the magic blood.
Yes, he has the magic blood. What about y'all? Did y'all have a nice Christmas?
We did. We had a really nice Christmas. We went to my stepmother's for Christmas Eve, and then we came home Christmas Day. We didn't do much. I mean, we cooked like beans and burgers. The kids wanted burgers and ribs for Christmas dinner, and so that's what we did. Had just a couple family members and friends over. I think there were 8 of us at the dinner table. By the way, I posted a picture of that on social media, and some people hit me with social distancing, and I'm like,
of course.
So anyway, but yeah, we had a great Christmas. And then too, you are kind of like holding your breath because we're going to Virginia to see my sister in between Christmas and New Year's. We'll be there for the New Year. And so, you just kind of want to, it's like we've talked about before. If I get it, I'm prepared for that. And I understand there's a risk involved in that and all that kind of stuff. But we wanted to be able to get to Virginia to see families. So you're just kind of holding your breath for that. So we leave tomorrow and everyone's fine. Everyone's feeling good. And so we'll hop on a plane. My first time to be on a plane since COVID, which will be strange.
Yeah.
So we'll mask it up and head to Virginia and spend the New Year there and then head back. And good Lord, let's hope 2021 is better than 2020.
Oh my God. It's gotta be. Emily.
I know it does.
It does.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good recap.
Yeah, that's pretty much my life.
And I know, I'm just glad you're out. I just wanted you to know the thought of you yesterday when I was frantically taking down my Christmas decorations, and
that was one question for you.
So you'll die laughing. So my husband got up and he was like, what do you want me to do? Because he was going to go play golf. And he's like, I want I want to help. Let me know what to do.
No, he's trained.
Like, you take care of the outside stuff. Do this, get the bins down, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and I'll take care of the rest. And so he left to go golf. The kids helped me. And then I got in a zone and I was like, I'm finishing this. There will be not a pine needle in my house.
Oh my God.
A speck of glitter. And so it's like, he's playing golf till he wouldn't be home till 6. And so it's 3 and everything's done except for our tree. And we get a live tree every year. So I got a towel and put it under the tree and dragged that 9-foot fucking tree out of my house.
Oh my
God.
God.
Shoved it. And at one point it was stuck because it was too tall and I couldn't get through this entryway. And so Henry's upstairs playing games. I'm like, Henry, I need you. And he's running downstairs and he's like, Mommy, what do you want me to do? This tree is so big. I can't.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I just in case something happens, whatever. So I drug this tree out and it was just.
You didn't want to just wait for Mike?
No, because then it was going to be, I was at 6 o'clock and then dinner and then we wasn't going to get done till late. I just wanted to be done with it. So you should have seen the amount of pine needles that were on my floor and all through just this but I did it. I was
Good
done with
you.
it.
So everything's gone. So you do it on the 26th. I mean, that does shock me. I was going to ask you, that was one of my questions for you because
Christmas is over. It's over, Jules.
Emily, you can't let it linger for just a couple of days.
No.
Would you if you weren't going out of town?
Maybe a day. But 27th is the deadline. We gotta.
So you don't celebrate Boxing Day then? You spend your Boxing Day taking everything down.
No, I don't really know what Boxing Day is.
Well, you wouldn't. It's the Canadian holiday.
What are they celebrating?
In Canada, it's the 26th. So they do Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then they have Boxing Day. And Boxing Day.
Why is it called Boxing Day?
I think the story is originally it was called Boxing Days because they used to box up a bunch of their old, the kids would box up a bunch of their old toys. And
I boxed up my Christmas decorations.
Right, down you boxed up your Christmas decorations. Yes. So they they donate their stuff to somebody and then because they are getting new stuff, I think, around Christmas time. But it's basically just become an extra day to gather and celebrate, and you make it a 3-day thing instead of a 2-day thing. So Kelly yesterday popped open a drink at noon. He's like, "Oh, it's Boxing Day." I was like,
"Oh, I love it."
I guess we're doing nothing, and I had a few drinks with him, and I can't do anything. It's I need a day to decompress.
Yes. You earned it.
Stuff. And then today I'm still not doing anything. I don't know what my excuse is today. It's that it's Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
On Sunday.
And one other thing I was going to tell you. So what do you do when your kids get you a gift? And I'm going to show you. So look, notice I look extra blingy today.
Yeah. Is it the big circle one or the one underneath?
No, that's the one I wear every day. But this Hattie got me, and it's gold chain with my name on it.
And you don't like it?
Well, I mean, I love it. I'm just not a very, this is a little extra bling for me.
Yeah.
Pretty sure my neck's going to turn green here in a couple days. So
I think you got to wear it though.
Oh, I do. I have to wear it. I mean, don't you feel like that's
you have to wear it. Do you know where she got
it? Amazon.
That's really cute. And it says Emily on it.
It says Emily. Yeah. I look very blinged out.
You are blinged out. Hey, yeah. I like it. So that's blingy. A cute gift. My kids didn't get but they're little. I guess.
Yeah. My kids like shopping now. Like they like shopping for each other and for us and all of that.
Oh, and it's so easy. I mean, Ryder can almost get on Amazon and order toys without us knowing.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. My kids have done that on the Alexa. Like I'm like, what? Yeah.
Does Alexa order toys?
Oh, like she can. So it'll suggest something and I'll like to order. Just say order or something. And like Hattie ordered something like this was months ago. I was like, yo, dude, what's happening? And she's like, well, Alexa asked me. And I'm like, well, Alexa isn't the boss. Sorry. And she's not paying the bills.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I got my first little
for 2021. Cheers.
Yeah,
to
me
2020
too.
being over almost. And we made it so far.
We made it.
And we have a new sponsor coming on in 2021.
I know. I'm so excited.
McCoy team at Affiliated Bank. And that
you know them, don't you?
Yes, I know him. So my husband's company is coming on board. We're super excited to have them. I know you have some personal dealings with my husband that you'll divulge. I guess business dealings. Let's not
business only.
Dealings. Yeah.
Yes.
So
no.
Yeah, we're super stoked to have him on board. We've been talking about it for a while, and so finally all those late night.
I'm so excited. There you go.
Yeah, so we're excited to have them on board. Of course, Gateway will be back with us in 2021. So yeah, we've got all of our sweet sponsors.
I know.
Up. We can use more if anybody wants to join the mom game.
Join the mom game.
Yep.
Create
Check us out. Hit us up on
catered around you, whatever it is that you're looking for. And then the big vocal news for 2021. I think we can say so. Our friend Mike Reiner, who has been on our show, we had a wonderful time with him, interrogating him about his love life and whatnot. He's coming on with Vocal. And so he's going to have his own podcast on Vocal. And I've already told them, I'm like, I want to collaborate with him more and like have him on for certain like discussion topics that we really need like a man's perspective, an elder man's perspective on.
An elder statesman.
Yeah,
we're super excited. Lots of fun things coming in 2021. We're so grateful for each and every one of you who have listened to this podcast, either just this one or previous or all of them. We are truly, truly grateful. We're, hoping to build this little community, which I feel like we're starting to build. And Jules, I'm glad you talked me into this crazy idea 9 or so months ago.
I'm so glad you joined on. It's been
everything I hoped and more. Do what, baby?
I said it's been everything I hoped and more.
It's been fun. So cheers to more fun in 2021. Health, happiness, all that good stuff. You and yours. Peace out.
This is our last one of the year.
Yes, we will see you in 2021.
In 2021.
Mom game.
Mom game out.